Welcome to the Rachel Varga podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Varga, double board certified aesthetic nurse specialist since 2011 with over 20,000 rejuvenation procedures performed. I'm an international clinical trainer for other physicians and nurses as well, celebrity skin expert, having been featured on some of the world's top proactive aging podcasts, and much, much more. Learn more at rachelvarga.ca and enjoy today's episode. Welcome everyone to today's live recording on the newly branded Always Radiant Skin podcast. In today's show, we are discussing the secrets to having healthy hair and a healthy body. Having great, thick, healthy hair is an inside job. It's also a topical job, and using the right products. In today's episode, we're actually going to be discussing some of the behind the scenes things that's actually happening with some of the biggest hair care brands that you've probably seen tons of marketing on. We got the inside scoop to help you save time and money and also avoid exposure to toxins and lower quality formulations that often happen when big brands get bought by other big brands and companies. The quality declines. Today's guest is Julie Olson. She is a triple board certified functional medicine nutritionist whose mission is to help women worldwide restore their health, hope, and hair loss naturally so they look and feel their very best. With more than 10 years of experience and success stories, Julie is known to skillfully investigate, discover, and communicate root cause solutions to revitalize health and naturally regrow hair. Julie has used these same strategies to personally overcome her own health struggles of hair loss, digestive issues, fatigue, and autoimmunity. Welcome to the show, Julie Olson. How are you today?
Good. Thank you so much, Rachel, for having me here. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Absolutely. And for those of you tuning in here, Julie Olson is also hosting a summit. The registration link to have healthy hair and a healthy body is in the description of this episode. So you're not going to want to miss out on the free content there, as well as our interview. We had a really fun interview for your summit.
Right. You were a great featured speaker on that summit. You have to hear it, everybody.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Julie, we have the $1 trillion question here. Let's kick things off, shall we? I ask everybody who joins me on the show, because this is a really great question to ask that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, and I love to hear perspectives on this. What is radiance to you, Julie?
I'd say something to describe emitting light, heat, energy, but especially brightness, brilliance, or glowing qualities. Um, if you think of someone's personality that's excludes positivity and warmth, it also can be described as expression of joy, happiness, or beauty.
Love it. Yes, it's this energy that people give off that I find they can't quite put their finger on it. And one of the things that I find really beautiful about this is that it can be very magnetic. And instead of, focusing on having great skin, hair, nails, great outfit, all that stuff, which, obviously I love to embody all that stuff as well. But it's the energy, it's the vibe, it's the frequency we give off, which is just so beautiful. And of course, that's what I think radiance is. That's a great answer. All right, everyone I'm working with in regards to one-on-one clients of mine, friends, family members, hair loss has become a big thing. So in your opinion, why is it necessary to address hair loss sooner rather than later?
Well, yeah, back to it's become a big thing just here in the United States. In 2020, 80 million people suffered from hair loss. 80 million just in the United States. And we're not talking worldwide, just United States. And the reason to address it and not wait is because if you wait until there's scarring of the hair follicle, it's almost impossible to reverse.
Yeah, and what I would also attribute this to is in my recent paper that we were talking about before we started recording on environmental toxins and the skin. One of the statistics I put in there is actually a Canadian statistic. In Stats Canada, you can look this up. I was actually just on there the other day. They still haven't added any other data after 2020, and we're in 2023 now. Go figure. It's usually a year behind, but it hasn't been updated, and I beg to ask why. And what I was looking at was mortality rates by type, and the section of unknown cause, death of unknown cause, doubled from 2019 to 2020 based on countrywide data. So, what that tells me is there's a signal to pay attention to, and I think that signal is environmental toxin. So I think what we're seeing are these individuals are stressed out, especially over the last couple of years. There's more toxins in the air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, not to mention the food quality, and not enough people are detoxing. I think these are all contributing factors. So I don't think that addressing hair loss is going to come from just taking, a hair supplement you find on social media or just using a shampoo and conditioner or hair growth stimulant, which do help. And I do actually use these kinds of products myself that you can find on my e-store. But it's a multifaceted approach. What do you think about that?
I agree with you 100%, and you're exactly right. Hair loss is very complex. And as humans, we're not equipped to live in this toxic world that's where most people don't detox or don't detox properly, and we're just bombarded with it, and it's getting more so and more so every single day. I mean, not only chemicals, but the EMFs, and I mean the list goes on and on and on. And even some the speakers, it's all covered in the summit. And it's interesting. Evan Brand, who used to be known as a gut guy, he's now getting into toxins because he realized that he was healing people's gut and they got better. But then after some time, they reversed back to where they were, or even worse. It's because of the mold, it's the toxins that were not cleared out properly and effectively, or they didn't get the mold out of their home, or the didn't get out of it's even psychological toxins, a toxic relationship, a toxic job. It The list is just growing. And I agree that that is a big that's why hair loss is so prevalent nowadays. And then you throw in the COVID shed. I mean, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, we have actually tons of fellow health practitioners in our health collaborative that Julie Olson and I are part of. Here we have this mastermind of people out in the world sharing helpful information to help us look better, feel better, of course, slow aging. And yeah, one of my top colleagues who also focuses in skin, she lost probably, I think she said like 60% of her hair. So yeah, we're seeing that different types of pathologies and things like that can really contribute to hair loss. But at the end of the day, it is an inside job. The other thing, the elephant in the room that I'm going to be writing a paper on coming up is LED lighting and hair loss. Where is the majority of the LED lights in our homes hitting us? Top of our head and our face, right? So I definitely consider LED lighting to be a contributing factor. Air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, not detoxing enough. Yeah, you nailed it. I'm happy to hear that you are
Yeah,
on
I
the
mean,
same.
gut health, you're exactly right too. It is an inside job. And that's another reason for the summit, because people don't understand that. They don't relate. Like, if your gut's not healthy, if your body's not healthy, you can't grow hair, because hair is not it's a forgotten organ. And it's truly known as the forgotten organ. And it has the third highest cellular turnover in the body. Some research calls it has the highest turnover in the body. But so, of course, if it requires an enormous amount of energy and nutrients, so whether we're not getting them or we're so unbalanced, it's going to first go to our vital organs to keep us alive. And then our hair is the last thing, because, when you're, and then you throw in all the stress that people aren't dealing with nowadays. So, going back to, it is an inside job, and there's a lot of layers to peel back. There's over 50 causes, and I've put them into 4 functional, and that's inflammatory, digestive, hormonal, and stress induced. Again, there's overlap there too.
I'm glad you mentioned that. The whole concept of beauty sleep, right? We've all heard that saying. We got to get great sleep to rejuvenate our body, regenerate, repair inflammation and damage. If the body is full of toxins, we got this oxidative stress status, this gets way too, heavy, and the toxic bucket gets too full, the body isn't going to be putting resources towards the skin or the hair or the nails. It's constantly going to be putting resources towards fighting that inflammation. So if you want great hair, you got to get all those systems right. That also includes, you mentioned stress and all that. The body, mind, spirit, energy stuff, getting right with God, clearing out trauma. So many people over the last few years are literally walking around traumatized. They don't even realize it. Like, just walk around wherever you live and just notice how many people have this dullness in their eyes. And then notice the contrast of people who don't, that have this brightness and this lovely energy, this radiance, right? We're seeing these kind of two subsets of people here that are really low vibe, and those that are on the high vibe train, and they're doing the work and they're doing the body, mind, spirit, energy stuff and all of that. I'm sure you see a difference with people in your experience and in your work that have this positive emotional state and have more hair versus someone with a negative emotional state and less hair. What are you seeing
Oh,
in your practice?
absolutely. And like you mentioned at the beginning of this topic, is sleep. And it's a vicious cycle. If you're stressed, you can't sleep. If you can't sleep, you're stressed. And we have a speaker on the summit that talks about sleep, and there's such a large correlation because you can't heal anything really if you can't sleep. And also circadian rhythm imbalance can also cause hair loss, but it goes back to stress. So the work you do with stress is so important. And actually, I have those 4 categories. But if you think about it, look, you can't digest your nutrients properly. You can't absorb your nutrients if you're stressed. Your hormones are going to be out of balance if you're stressed. You're going to have systemic inflammation if you're stressed. So address the stress, and, and it's also, a component of every disease, and they're even saying cancer now. So we
Well,
all
let's
have
talk about that. How do
energy.
you manage stress? How do you live your best life?
Wow, I probably could do more, but I feel I have a very positive attitude, and I get in movement every day, and I prioritize my sleep, and I um, try to have a balance. I'm really prioritize the food I eat and stay away from toxic food and people and places and
Yeah, I
um,
call it the in and out strategy right now. I actually just the other day released an episode on my secrets to unlocking our radiance. And I talk about this concept in and out. Some of you might know about this fast food chain. And I like to have this approach with certain people in life where they might not have that radiant vibe and they might be a negative Nancy. We want to hang out with the positive Patties, okay? So if you're finding yourself sometimes you're the negative Nancy, you got to ask yourself why. And one of the cool things about Julie Olson and I is we are living a life of purpose. Here we are showing up on this podcast, having a really great conversation. This is actually something we love to do and brings us a lot of joy. So, what are some of the ways that I love to manage stress, right? Is number one, make sure your mind is right. So, we were talking before airing here all the detox that I've done. And that's really allowed my brain to function in a much higher way and in a more positive way because I don't have all these organisms anymore, right? Yeast, fungi, parasites, mold, heavy metals, other toxins that are running the show and that basically hijacked my physiology to say, eat this, eat that, think about this, do this, don't do that, right? So the more pure we are, the better able we're going to be equipped to manage stress and live our best lives. I love doing things that bring myself joy, listening to great episodes, connecting with great fellow radiant humans. 4x4ing, being in nature, those are things that bring myself joy, as well as music. And when you mention foods, some of the key contributors to toxins are, of course, going to be the canola oil. I mean, that's the thing that we're seeing so much in different skincare products now, and of course, hair care products now. So let's talk about this for a hot second. What are you seeing in the hair growth product space in regards to quality and big names being bought by big companies where the quality of ingredients decline?
Wow. Well, of course, we're still seeing products with the parabens, the formaldehyde, the sulfates, the propylene, glycol, the phytates, which all cause hair loss, and even gluten. They put gluten in a lot of hair products and skincare products to help bind. And and someone like me who has celiac disease, that's you can get it through your skin. People don't realize that. Um, and then a lot of the supplement companies and slash hair health supplement companies, they have products for your hair and supplements. They're getting bought out by big companies, and now they're producing their products in China. I don't know if we're going to name names here, but
Let's just say it starts with an N and it ends with a full. Okay, let's just say that. Starts with an N, it ends with a full. Got bought by a big company.
and
Quality's gone downhill.
you can see their commercials all over everywhere now.
So frustrating.
Yeah, but so unfortunately, when they get bought out by big companies, they the quality of their products decrease because they're always trying to cut costs, and they have proprietary blends, and basically you don't know what's in that blend or how much of a certain ingredients in there. It's like a mystery. Um, those are some of the main things. What do you find?
Yeah, I actually found in a huge product line that, I hate to say it, a number of our fellow health friends are just, preaching from the mountaintops. Starts with a B, ends in counter. And during my consultations over the last couple of months, I do one-on-one sessions, as you know, and I go through the products my clients are using. And I started to notice in this one brand that hydrogenated vegetable oil was now showing up. So I wonder if potentially that company got bought by another big company. So you have to sometimes take what you see in regards to advertising with a grain of salt. Because in my experience, the best skincare companies that I work with, you probably actually haven't seen a lot of media and marketing. Why? Because those companies invest more in research and development. Okay. And then they rely on practitioners and providers to then provide these items. So that's kind of giveaway number one. If you're seeing something just like blasted, marketed to you on social media and different media channels, you do really want to have your spidey senses up, because those are often the brands that are the worst offenders of having lower quality products, because there's this imbalance. It's just all media and marketing, cutting costs, right? Getting those margins up, using lower quality ingredients like hydrogenated vegetable oil, which is a canola oil blend, which is one of the most toxic ingredients in our foods right now. It's in just about everything. Grocery shopping takes about twice as long as it used to. What are you finding when you're reading the labels?
Absolutely. There's some apps though. The Environmental Working Group has one that looks at the clean products in hair and skin. But yeah, there's a lot of loopholes in um, product labeling as well, even for like you just mentioned, the hydrogenated vegetable oil. If it has 0.5%, and that adds up, right? They can say there's none, that it's not included in the ingredient.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
loophole.
it's pretty
I did
gross.
a research paper on it years ago. So there are labeling loopholes. So just be wary. And like you were just saying, if it's blasted all over social or all over TV commercials, that's a huge red flag.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things you mentioned was a skincare app and a self-care app. I have a different perspective than you do on this, and with a lot of people, because if there's an active ingredient like retinol, vitamin A, one of the most researched antioxidants out there for decades. However, it's not recommended to be used during pregnancy and breastfeeding because of the potential teratogenic effects, which in layman's terms means potential cause of birth defects, because it is unethical to test anything on a pregnant and breastfeeding woman. So, what does EWG do? If a product has even a little bit of retinol, it's all automatically going to give it a really bad rating. So, honestly, I don't trust a lot of these apps because of that in and of itself. It can make a product that actually is a great product, but if it has a little bit of vitamin A in it, for example, that's just one example, it's going to give it a really bad rating. So
Hmm.
that can be really confusing to the consumer. So there's products I've seen that are great and they have a 9 out of 10 toxic rating because they have retinol. So that's why it can be really helpful to work with someone like myself, like with Julie, that really understands actual ingredients and products, and we see what works for our clients and in our communities. So take that stuff with a grain of salt would be my suggestion, and rely on someone who's, done the work, read the ingredients list as well. It's really hard for the consumer these days, isn't it?
It is. It is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
So
it's important though.
it is, yeah. All these little tidbits can really help us be more conscious consumers. So at the end of the day, that's my goal for everybody.
Yeah, I want to bring up also the environmental working group. So we have Jeffrey Smith on the summit, and he agrees with you. He's one of the forefront runners. He's known worldwide for um, pushing back against Monsanto and genetically modified products and so forth. And he says that the environmental working group does not test appropriately, even for food items. So I think that's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because, again, you think you can trust certain sources, and at the end of the day, you should probably trust your practitioner or somebody that's
Right?
in, got their boots on, their sleeves rolled up, and is working in it instead of just trying to sell you something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's so tricky for the consumer, and a lot of times I'll work with clients and really young people as well. I oftentimes work with their parents first, and then they refer their young ones to have a session with me as well. And it's really important if you're listening to this and you're in your teens, you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, you're more likely to go into these stores that are totally toxic. I'm not going to mention a brand name, but it starts with an S, it ends with an A, it's got black and white branding. You go in these stores and they're full of phthalates, right? The fragrances, those are known hormone disruptors. And a lot of our youth, they don't understand that these toxic ingredients are going to be leading to inflammation. They're going to be leading to hormone dysregulation because they're known hormone disruptors. So just because something's available and on the market doesn't mean that it's the best option, or if you're seeing a lot of media and marketing. That was a good conversation. I love that little tangent we
Yeah,
had.
yeah, and I just wanna throw out there, there is a documentary, four-part documentary, and the fourth one is on hair loss and the products that are all lawsuits that are causing hair loss, and it's on it's I don't even Hulu or something, it's called Not So Pretty, but they also have the first one I think is on hair, makeup and skincare products, but it's really eye-opening. Um, you watch that, you can see it from other viewpoints too, that it's really, it just compounds, it really solidifies what we're just saying, that you can't rely on apps, you can't rely on advertising, and you really have to do a little bit more work before you buy anything.
Yeah, the other big thing that I think is worthwhile, because I have seen some of those documentaries. Obviously, I find them very interesting when they're discussing things like hair care, skincare, and beauty products, is the counterfeit product situation. We've actually had some of our friends that have their own skincare lines. Yes, they do sell them on Amazon. However, people then rip it off. So anything you're putting in or on your body that is a formulation type of product, whether that's a skincare product, hair care product, supplement, makeup, do not, I repeat, do not buy these products from these auction websites, because the counterfeit product space is ripe for issues. And that came up in that documentary, because I'm pretty sure I saw that one. And yeah, that's wild to think about. And I don't use that word wild lightly, that here we are, there's these hair care products that actually are causing hair loss, and people are basically getting retribution for that.
Yeah,
Wow,
and
we've covered a
also, yeah, also they've done some studies and they're finding that a lot of the hair straighteners are causing cancer.
Oh yeah, I would not disagree with that. I used to get hair smoothing sessions done. I have very thick, coarse, curly hair. If I go out in a rainstorm, I'm gonna come back looking like, I got an afro. It's kind of funny. I actually got made fun of a lot for having really thick, curly hair growing up. Some of the sayings was that I heard in grade 5. His name was Jay, I remember. And he's like, "What did you do, Rachel? Stick your finger in a light bulb socket?"
Oh,
And here I am now. I love my hair. It could do anything and everything I wanted to do. I just had to meet the round brush and a hair dryer and use non-toxic products and understand how to style my hair. Yes, getting back to these hair straighteners, because I had all that, trauma as a kid. I mean, it's not that much of a trauma, but as a kid, it's a type of trauma. You get made fun of. He was probably trying to flirt with me, whatever. Uh, the hair smoothing products that are out there, one of the reasons why they're also so toxic is because the products are applied onto the hair. I know this because I've had it done before. And then there's a hair straightener that's used. And what it's doing is essentially aerosolizing that product, and then it's being inhaled. So these products may be tested topically, but they're not tested on the respiratory tract or also in the nose, the mucous membranes. Same thing goes with these spraying sunless tanners. Isn't that crazy to think about?
yeah, it's scary. It's really scary. And by the way, you have beautiful hair.
Why, thank you. Thank you very much. I use some good products and, manage my air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, and regular detoxing. So it's not an accident. Let's just say that. But thank you for that beautiful compliment. So, getting into detoxing, what do you see in regards to results with people you work with and through conversations you've had? What are you seeing in regards to detoxifying for improving hair growth and thickness?
Um, Great results, but you know what I'm coming up against a lot lately is these women are coming in with these mercury fillings, and I think I'm going to put together some sort of video um, showing why they need to have them removed and why they need to have them removed safely, because I cannot properly start detoxifying them until they get them out of their mouth.
Yeah, you're right. And this is something that we see a lot of, that I see a lot of in the skincare space too. If someone's got, inflamed insides, they could spend all the money in the world on skincare and rejuvenation, and it's not going to move the needle on reducing the skin redness, the sun photosensitivity, pigmentation, accelerated aging. Not to mention if they do things like dermal rolling and in-clinic lasers and things like that, they're actually not going to be their body isn't going to be creating healthy collagen, right? And there's going to be delayed healing and all sorts of stuff. So you have to get the insides right in order to maximize your rejuvenation. right? That's also something I talk about in my paper in an effort to elevate the medical aesthetics, cosmetic dermatology, plastic surgery fields to provide the highest outcomes possible. Because I saw over the years, my clients that do the body, mind, spirit, energy work, they do regular detoxing. Maybe there's some biohackers out there too. They always had faster healing. I'll never forget one time I did a non-fractionated laser on someone and they were on Access Hollywood the next day. I was like, what? Typically, people are out for the count for about 4 to 5 days with skin redness, swelling to the eyes. So that's when I started to clue in that, hey, if we do this biohacking stuff alongside our rejuvenation, it's not only going to give us better results, but it's also going to speed up healing. And I agree with you, getting those mercury fillings out is so key because if you're spending all this time and money on supplements and working with someone and detoxes, and you have these types of products in the body, it's kind of going to be in vain as well. And the same thing goes if people are doing rejuvenation and their toxic bucket is too full. That's not the time to do rejuvenation. You really want to take a step back and focus on your health first.
Right. And I want to mention getting your liver optimal too. People think they can jump in a detox before clearing the pathways, the drainage pathways, and that can backfire. You need to first open your drainage pathways, get your liver optimized, and then you can do the detox. I mean, first get off the toxins and so forth, but get the mercury out and whatever else. I mean, see if they have mold or because again, a lot of these toxin detox programs are not working for people, and they're making people worse because they're not doing it in the appropriate steps.
Yes, I have a personal story to share. This is a very recent personal story. Hold on for a second, ladies and gentlemen. So, as you know, Julie, I started parasite, yeast, fungi, mold, heavy metal detoxing last March. It took me to about December to get to a point where I feel like I really made a difference. And then it's kind of an ongoing thing. And then recently, well, actually, just last week, I bumped up my parasite detox protocol based on a researcher who also links to research from a parasitologist, Dr. Uman. He is a Egyptian parasitologist who I actually reference in my paper because some adult acne is actually confused as acne and it's actually Morgellons disease parasite. And so when you detox, sometimes the body can go through a reaction called the Herxheimer's reaction. And this is, I think, what you were alluding to. If the detox pathways aren't opened enough and it's just too much for the body at once, it's kind of like this histamine cytokine storm. Now, I experienced the Herxheimer reaction earlier this week. I knew exactly what it was. However, it can also be regarded as a positive endpoint that you did a good enough job that all those toxins from those dying off parasites, I know it sounds gross, but it's really important if you want great hair, skin, nails, you got to get down and dirty sometimes. You got to clear this stuff out. However, the Herxheimer reaction, my research is said to last about 5 to 7 days, and I kicked it in about 2 days. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I, I, I guess I have to think about it, but I agree on both ends because you're right in the fact. I mean, I agree in the fact that if you're herxing, that it's working, but I also my thought and my thought is more towards if your liver if you're not clearing out before you start the program, that not only you're herxing, but you're also not really detoxing because the pathways aren't open. So I guess I'm taking it a step further.
Yeah, and I know why I did. I did a new protocol, so this is a brand new one than ones that I'd done before. And for a couple of days leading up to that, I had actually been a little bit lax on taking my antioxidants. We're talking zinc, NAC,
Mhm.
quercetin, green tea extract, vitamin C. I'd taken a couple of days off. So I didn't have as many of those antioxidants in my body. So what did I do? As soon as I knew what was going on, I bumped up my antioxidants, lymphatic drainage, water intake, ionic foot detox baths as well to get the system flushing and moving. So I know exactly what I did wrong, and I also knew what to do. So this is the benefit to being a researcher is you know
Yeah.
where to go to get great insights.
Average your client, I mean, our clients don't know how to do that, even to even communicate that with us, they just feel horrible. But that's great that obviously practitioners can figure that out, and you did yourself. But if our patients going through that, they don't always express all that, and nor do they have the resources to have all those at their fingertips.
I do agree with you to prepare the body first. So
Yeah.
I'd basically be doing a year of preparation. We're really doing that heavy lifting with more gentle approaches. Then I decided to really kick things up a couple notches. And for those of you listening, this is not medical advice. This is educational information only. If you think you have a medical condition, you must seek the guidance of a licensed physician. This is proper detoxing you really want to do with a practitioner so that they can, again, allow you to have an awareness of how to prepare the body. And when you're detoxing, you really got to support those detox pathways. So I was also taking something to support with releasing the toxins as well, because people do cleanses and detoxing, but they're not also supporting the body to manage those other things that are released as well. So the key benefits that I get from detoxing is greater mental clarity, less bloating, more energy, and clearer skin. My nails continue to grow like weeds, which is frustrating because I play guitar. And you just feel like you, right? My mom even says, she's like, I feel like I got my daughter back. It's like, well, yes, mom, I'm doing all this deep inner work as well as all this detoxing. So I am feeling a lot more like myself again. What is it like for you, Julie, when you do a detox? How do you feel afterwards?
Great. Amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to our episode here that we
Yeah,
haven't covered yet?
I had something you said earlier about purpose, and that is so important for our health. And for example, when people work their entire life and then retire and then get sick and that's it, or because they have no purpose, they don't have no reason to get up in the morning and to have a purpose. I mean, there's plenty of people that are, I guess healthy per se, but you're healthier when you have a purpose. And oh, yeah, purpose for radiance and living our best life. It's so true.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
studies on this as well. As people that have a purpose are healthier in the long run than people that don't. And it makes, I mean, for instance, my grandmother, she raised my father as a single mother, was a hard worker, loved her work. And when she retired, boom, she was sitting around all day and she ended up having a heart attack and that's it.
Yeah, in gerontology, we call that failure to thrive. And one of the things that comes up in that is seclusion, right? They're typically not at home anymore. They need more care. There's this concept of failure to thrive. So if you have a loved one in a home, see them as much as you possibly can. It's really, really important because humans thrive on connection and purpose. And yeah, that's what I talk about in the schoolofradiance.com. That it's all about this. It's the why to beauty and rejuvenation. It's the how to. It's, what's your purpose? All these really deep questions that will actually help to support you to clear trauma, to clear toxins, and allow you to be clear enough so that you can make better choices for yourself that are more intuitive because you're better able to listen to your body with what it wants and better able to really lead a purpose driven life. and tune into who you are, your soul, and what your mission is, and all that stuff. And we can get so bogged down with all this stuff we see on the media and all this fear-based advertising of buy this product, you probably have terrible hair loss, and this product will make your life better. Is that what you're kind of seeing? Is the marketing?
Yeah, yeah, and then back to purpose. I just want to add one more thing. It doesn't have to be a big purpose, kind of like what we have. We love what we do, but it could be a purpose of walking your dog every day, caring for your dog or your cat, or you love to read books, or just have something that you're passionately purposeful about that gets you excited and radiant for getting up in the morning. And
Yeah, get rid of the Netflix subscription. Get rid of the streaming stuff. Most of the time it's all programming anyways. And get a hobby. More people need hobbies again, am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. People are just stuck to their screens. We were just at the airport, my nephew's college graduation, and we were waiting for a plane. And there's 120, we counted 126 people. And guess how many were looking at their phones?
Every single one.
All but 6.
What were the 6 that weren't looking at their
They're
phones?
actually reading.
Oh, good. What were some of the characteristics that you observed about them as well?
That's a
Like
good
demographic. How
question.
old were they?
It was mostly, I'd say, 30 on up.
Okay. So we
Mostly.
got some 30-year-olds that are making good life decisions. Actually, when I fly, what I like to do is listen to meditation tracks. Joe
Yeah.
Dispenza has a fantastic meditation track that I recorded when I saw him live. That's one of my favorite things to do, or listen to audibles. Yeah, audiobooks. I'm reading a book right now called Getting the Love You Want.
Ah,
Yeah,
sounds like you did.
it's a Gottman method book, and it's not just about scrolling social and having whatever the algorithm feels like showing you at that time. It's about being really intentional with the books and the content, the audiobooks, reading books. That's going to fuel you and help you feel great. Yeah, because the whole stress thing is with hair loss is we get in these negative emotional thought loops that actually drain our energy and cause cortisol spikes and chronic stress, right? So let's talk about the chronic stress situation on hair. What's actually the pathways happening?
Yeah, so with it, if you're under chronic stress, normally your cortisol is elevated and it puts your hair prematurely into the resting phase.
Interesting. So the resting phase instead of the growth phase.
Yes, prematurely though. So,
Okay.
our hair has 3 cycles of growth, and it just gets it all messed up. And so you're losing a lot of hair growth, and hence you're going to have hair loss.
So stop being stressed out. Boom. Problem solved. Your hair is going to start to grow better, right? So being in these positive emotional states might sound a little fluffy and a little bit out there for some of you. So positive emotional states examples: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Negative emotional states: worrying, shame, fear, all these things, indecisiveness, boredom. Boredom, believe it or not, is considered a negative emotional state. So being high vibe, being radiant, is not only going to allow you to get the best skin of your life, but also support better hair growth. I love that.
Yeah, and also stress causes the fact that you might be eating well, but if you're stressed out, you can't absorb those nutrients. You need nutrients for your hair. And usually when people are stressed, they're not exercising or moving. We need to move our bodies. We need to get nutrients up to our scalp. We need to be in balance. If we're stressed, goes back to you're probably not sleeping well. You need your sleep for your health in your hair. If you're stressed, your hormones are going to be out of balance. It's just,
What are your thoughts on hair analysis?
uh, it can show some heavy metals and toxins. Um, there's other functional labs I like better per se, but there's some value to it.
What are some of your favorite labs for seeing what's going on the inside? Because
Yeah.
healthy hair is an inside job.
Yeah. So I a stool test is great. Well, a functional one from a functional lab. I can name labs if you want me, but okay. And organic acids test, I love those. You can see that your metabolites. I a test that shows if you have any nutrient deficiencies or surpluses. Um, even to, of course, I start with some basic tests. Um, See where their hormones are, see where their thyroid is or not. That's included in the hormones, a whole thyroid panel, a whole hormone panel. Um, I test for inflammation, the CRP, HSCRP. Even testing the parathyroid, actually, a parathyroid, if it's out of balance, it can cause hair loss.
Oh
Um,
yeah, thyroid. That's a huge thing. So a
yeah.
lot of times my clients will meet with me and they have, they're on bioidentical hormones,
Mm,
they have hypothyroidism, and then I take a look at the products they're using and they're toxic products with
mm,
paraben phthalate sulfates, artificial dyes, fragrances. These are all known hormone disruptors.
mhm.
Where are they being applied? Directly onto the neck. Every time you're spraying that perfume, where is it being applied?
No.
Onto the neck and décolleté, right? So it's just that it's the topical interference with these very delicate glands is so important. And not to mention EMFs. I mean, there's PubMed open source studies that I mentioned in my paper on electromagnetics and the skin and electromagnetics and the eyes. I'm going to start to do some digging on electromagnetics and the thyroid. When I sleep, I actually shield my thyroid
Oh, good for
with
you.
the silver clothing that I wear, as
Oh,
well as my entire head, either with the clothing or the blankets.
oh, wow. I put my phone in the other room. But we did have a speaker that talked about EMFs, Nicholas Pinot. Yeah, that's becoming a huge problem.
Yep. Yeah. Oh,
People
it
are
is. And more
falling
people
for
are talking about it, which
it.
is great. So this is a layer that can add to the toxic bucket.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we have to use technology in
Mm,
order to navigate our lives and, make money and communicate. And it's part of business and the economy. So it really comes down to, I think, shielding. So using protective clothing, turning off the router at night, keeping the phone on airplane mode, which yes, mine is. I even keep it in a Faraday pouch as well as my RFID chip cards as well. I mean, I kind of go that extra layer because of what I do and researching these things and testing these things and then seeing what happens to the body.
mhm.
So that's, what biohackers do. We like to test things out.
Yeah,
And we also like test instead of gas. So I'm really glad that you mentioned the different test kits that are available. You're probably going to mention things like the Dutch test, right?
mhm.
That's a great
Yeah,
one.
that's a good one too. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a mycotoxin test.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I love testing. When I get test results, I feel like I'm opening a present. I geek
I
out.
know. It's like, what more can I learn about myself to make myself even better? And the funny thing is, when I left a previous home, there was just something that was telling me it's time to go. And right before I left, a couple weeks before, I had actually done a full panel. I actually done multiple test kits, and then got to my girlfriend's house. Katie, she's the co-host of Beauty and the Biohacker. She's
Mhm.
one of my soul sisters, internet besties, that we finally met and hung out with each other for a while. Had a great time, and I just was in that sauna every AM, every PM. My body just needed to detox, and I was able to listen to my body to sweat AM and PM, and that's a lot. That's a lot of sauna use.
Did you get dehydrated?
Oh gosh, I was drinking, 2
Oh,
liters
that's
of water. a
Yeah.
liter and a half easily when I was in there. And then I got my results back a couple months later after I listened to my body to do all these sauna sessions. And what showed up? Mold, 3 different types of mold. So my body knew without knowing, without having my test results back, that I had mold exposure.
Yeah, our body's really intuitive. People have to trust their bodies.
Yeah.
And when you have a gut feeling, that's really a real thing.
The
Yeah.
more clear you are, the
Yeah.
more able you're going to be able to lean into and be intuitive with what your body's trying to tell you, right? If you're quiet and still enough, you can really get a good handle on how to best support yourself. But some things you just don't know until you know. So say for example, mentioning this huge product, and even one of our colleagues in our health collaborative, huge health influencer, like one of the biggest ones out there. If I dropped his name, you know who he is. Actually, he's been on the show. And he, did promote that in full product. And so we're going to have to reach out to him and let him know that.
Oh, yeah, I won't promote them anymore. I won't. Yeah. Hey, could we
Yeah.
talk about xenoestrogens?
Wow, let's do it.
I I know you know a lot about it, and I'd love to pick your brain or at least talk about it a little.
Yeah, so what we have going on in our environment are estrogen mimicking chemicals, right? So my mother's breast cancer survivor. She developed
Nice.
estrogen receptive breast cancer. It wasn't, the genetic kind, it was environmental. She was a night nurse, she was on
Yeah.
hormone replacement therapy. So I personally am of the camp that let's get the body right before doing bioidentical. Okay. Some people aren't going to like me for saying that. However, I went to her oncology meeting with
Mhm.
her oncologist, and
Mhm.
I very openly asked her oncologist, was her hormone replacement therapy the cause of her cancer? And I got a yes. So I think I was 20 at the time when I learned
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I mean, I had the same answer for my mother and my sister. Well, my sister never did hormone replacement therapy, but it was estrogen based. But yeah, keep going.
So the deal with this one was it was bioidentical and compounded, and there isn't a ton of regulation around compounding products. And we also see this with compounding retinols. A lot of times I'll do consultations for clients using a prescription retinol, and then the base of the product contains parabens. And a lot of times parabens, which is a known endocrine hormone disruptor, right? Huge linkage with cancer with that one,
And
parabens
hair loss.
and hair loss. Yeah. So we have to just it's about having awareness, right? Okay, here we are. Julie and I are talking about all these things we need to pay attention to. It's not about being fearful. It's not about, being stressed out and overthinking this, that, the other thing. What it comes down to is just slowly integrating these air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, purification practices, and detoxing. This will take a long time. This took me from about 2017 to learn how to employ in a strategic way. And then I make it easy, right? Here's what the stuff we got to focus on to be as pure as possible. Then there's other things. I do have a number of clients, however, that do really well with HRT, and they swear by their bioidentical hormones for helping them with their, the menopause symptoms that they're experiencing. Not their menopausal symptoms. It's not like my acne, it's acne I'm experiencing. It's not part of your identity, right? You don't want to introduce yourself like, I'm a breast cancer survivor. You want to introduce yourself as, hey, I'm a humble human on a mission here to help you achieve and receive the best hair, skin, and nails of your life. It's not like identifying yourself as, going through trauma. We're much more than that, and being a survivor of things. So I really feel for, the gents out there, the gentlemen that are dealing with hair loss because of the hormone dysregulation that happens from these toxins and their foods, all, air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, beauty products that mess with their hormones, aren't necessarily lifting heavy enough as well. Or they're in partnerships where the woman is too masculine and it emasculates the man. There's also that too, right? It's this balance of being in a beautiful divine partnership where the masculine and feminine energy is balanced. And this in and of itself will help to keep you balanced with your hormones, because you're going to be in the more feminine kind of emotional states, and the man's going to be in more of the masculine emotional states, as opposed to being the wounded feminine or the wounded masculine. These also significantly impact our hormones. So that's where it's like this, relational toxin that can come into play. So all these things, and it just takes time. You don't have to get overwhelmed with this episode. You gotta look out for that. You gotta look out for this. Julie and I, we're here to make things. We're here to make things easy for you, with easy to follow plans and strategies, and also accountability and support. So Julie, do you have any closing words for our episode today?
Oh, I just build on what you just said. I mean, we're just providing information, and do what you can, and don't feel you have to do it all. That's impossible, pretty much. And um, you think in moderation, and I think probably the biggest takeaway too is, you know, be good to yourself, and that will help radiate that to others, and radiance is what it's all about.
I think you can do it all.
Really?
I'm doing it. I'm
Okay.
doing it.
Okay. I'm not.
I think you can. And it's a journey. And I think it really comes down to your values, your resources, your lifestyle. And a lot of the things to purify your air, water, electromagnetics, and detox is less expensive than you might think, right? We can get overwhelmed with the different options. However, just starting with the free things is really important. So for air quality, get out in nature more, be in a forest more. You're going to get better
Forest-feeding.
oxygen. Yeah,
Love
you're going to get better oxygen.
forest-feeding.
Water, put a simple shower head filter for less than $70. I have one on my favorites page. For $200, you can get a countertop reverse osmosis water purification unit. You no longer have to drink out of plastic bottles and drink that tap water, okay? The lighting thing, get that natural sunlight, AM and PM. That's going to help with the circadian rhythm. Switch out your LEDs to halogens if you can. And then for electromagnetics, turn your router off at night. Put your phone on airplane mode. Go back to a wired headset. I'm wearing AirTube headset right now, instead of those expensive AirPods. You'd be surprised. The things that are actually accelerating our aging and that are contributing to environmental toxins are actually expensive, because they're marketed to us for convenience and efficiency, but they're actually making us more sick, right? Like technology, like those AirPods. And then detoxing. You want to do a detox? You want to do it right? You want to do a really good one? Try a 3-day water fast. That doesn't cost anything. Then you'll eventually get up to maybe once a year a 5 to 7 day long fast. I didn't do just water with that one. I did have, limited calories. So you'd be surprised. And then with food choices, going to whole foods, organic foods, eating the foods that are right for you, $150 gut test. I have it on my favorites page. That will give you a list of the foods that are ideal for you. Superfoods, enjoy, minimize, and avoid foods. And then you're not buying the packaged foods, which are actually more expensive. So I do disagree with you a little bit there, that you can do it all, and it doesn't have to cost a lot of money.
Rachel, you just made perfect sense. I'm going with you. You made it so doable. Even I was like, wow. So you just simplified it and go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a really fun conversation with you, Julie. I enjoyed our time together. We've clearly, you can tell we, have a friendly banter because we've interviewed each other a couple times now. So we can kind of get into it. Where can people find you and learn more about you?
They can go to my website, which is julieolson.com. That's a shorter version of it. Looks like you might have the name of my practice is Fortitude Functional Nutrition, but you can find me. You can Google Julie Olson. My social media handles are Julie Olson FN for Functional Nutritionist. And then the summit that Rachel was featured speaker on is coming up for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
free event. I'm so excited. So for those of you listening right now, head on over to the episode description, right? Go to the episode description. The link to join the summit's right there. And congrats. I'm so proud of you for putting this summit together.
Well,
Lots of great speakers. You asked some excellent questions that I hadn't shared anywhere else as well. So if you want my extra hair growth stimulating tips, you got to tune into that episode. And then as an extra bonus and resource for all of you who are tuning in, check out my top hair care and growth products at rachelbarca.ca. Head on over to my skincare store. You're going to see this hair growth tab front and center in the navigation tab on my e-store. And I do have a gift with purchase sale, clean hairspray promo code. When you have the Texture So Pure hairspray in your cart and it's an order over $300, you're going to get that free Texture hairspray. Limited quantity, so if it doesn't work, probably means that it's sold out. And if you have any questions from today's episode or about the gift with purchase sale that I have right now, send me an email, info@rachelvarga.ca. I had a lovely time with you, Julie, and I look forward to seeing everybody at your free event talking all about healthy body, healthy hair.
thank you so much, Rachel.
Have a beautiful, high vibe, radiant rest of your day. Share this episode with a friend or family member. I'd love to hear from you. Send me feedback, what you thought was interesting, and also podcast topic requests, info@rachelvarga.ca. And we will see you again right here on the Always Radiant Skin podcast.